What's the first thing you worked on?
When I moved to Disney, I started on Big Hero 6. So on Big Hero 6 for 3.5 years, and then I moved to Moonville.
Yeah.
And it's been on Moonville. I've been on Moonville for 4 years.
Yep.
Before I rolled off.
And then before that, you were at DreamWorks.
Before that, I was at DreamWorks on Puss in Boots, the TV show. And then before that, I was on Ultimate Spider-Man. I've only worked on 4 shows my entire career. Well, here's the thing. Like, I get asked this question a lot, and I think I have to caveat first with that every director, every showrunner looks for different things.
Yeah.
And every show looks for different things.
True.
When I was staffing for Big Hero, I looked for different things than I was staffing for Noon.
Yeah.
And if I was staffing for something like Futurama, I'd be looking for something completely different. And if I was directing a movie at DreamWorks Feature, I'd be looking for something different. If I'm directing a movie at Sony Pictures, gotta be looking for something different. It's just like with actors, it's all about casting. But if you are a student and you are just trying, you're trying to break into the industry, I feel like 3 things. The most important thing is draftsmanship. So 3 things I would say: draftsmanship, entertainment value, and what makes your portfolio uniquely you. So
Uniquely you.
So let me elaborate on you. So draftsmanship is important because no matter where you go, no matter what show you're on, you need to be able to draw. But when I say draftsmanship, it's not like you are sculpting a figure and you're taking half an hour to just draw one character, right? So you don't want to be sculpting. So I always say that in terms of draftsmanship, there's always the figure drawing aspect of it, and there's always the gesture drawing aspect of it, and storyboards is somewhere in between, but leaning more gesture. So you want your drawings to be loose enough to convey the energy, to convey the idea, to convey what this character is doing, emotions, personality, all that stuff. You want your drawing to convey all of that, but without you spending half an hour to draw one character. When I first started on Spider-Man, a lot of gestures, because you don't want to be drawing every single web on Spidey. So part of our training is to make sure that when you can draw Spider-Man in less than 3 seconds, a full body. So it's essentially, it's almost like gesture, because you're drawing thousands and thousands of drawings. So you want to get to a point where the structure and the construction that we learn from figure drawing is implied, but that's not what you want to be spending the time on. Because these drawings are going to be seen like maybe no more than like less than a second before they move on to the next panel. When they get put into Animatic, sometimes some of these drawings are only on screen for like 6 frames, which is a quarter of a second. So you want to make sure you have good draftsmanship, but also know how to be economical with it, keeping in mind how long this drawing is going to be on screen, because that's what storyboarding is. You are storyboarding so that your storyboards can be put into an Animatic for people to watch. So you got to keep that in mind. You got to think about how long is this drawing going to be showed on screen, and the amount of time that I spend on it should be equal to it. So the draftsmanship is important, because without draftsmanship you won't be able to make a good job. Second thing is understanding value. Everyone can make a storyboard portfolio. Not everyone can be entertaining. And when I say entertaining, I don't mean funny. There are a lot of people who, to me, I feel like there are a lot of people who mistake entertainment for comedy. And so people are always just trying to be funny. But comedy is an entirely different school. It's an entirely different skill set. You just have to be entertaining. A dog is chasing a squirrel. You can storyboard a dog just chasing a squirrel. Squirrel runs up a tree, and the dog barks up on a tree. You take 100 people, you can get all of them could storyboard that. But how do you make it entertaining? That's what's gonna put your storyboards in the top 10%. It's maybe when the dog is chasing the squirrel stumbles, the acorn falls over and hits the dog in the face, and then the dog gets distracted and eats the acorn and then throws up. I don't know, like I just making shit up, right?
yeah.
But like, how do you make a simple premise entertaining? Because that to me is what was the difference between a good board artist and a really good artist.
Yeah.
Right? A really good board artist knows how to create entertainment out of nothing.
Yep.
A good board artist knows how to make something functional. That is the baseline. The baseline is that you need to be able to make anything functional. But if you take 100 board artists, 90 of them will know how to make something functional.
Yeah.
But maybe only 10 or 5 of them know how to make something like entertaining.
Right.
So focus on, learn how to be entertaining in whatever. And the last thing is, I say your portfolio should reflect you. People always say, people sometimes try to use, tests as part of a portfolio. I usually advise against that because oftentimes tests are very unique and very specific to one production. If a test gets you a job on, say, Simpsons, or that same test is not going to get you a job on, say, Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So if you're a student trying to break into the industry, I would make a portfolio that is you, instead of, I should cater my portfolio to The Simpsons, or I should cater my portfolio to Spider-Verse. No, make something that is uniquely you. Craft a simple, short, original story that where you can show what it is that you're good. If you're good with like emotional stuff, craft a story that is emotional. If you're good with comedy, craft a story that's fun. If you're good with cinematic camera stuff, make a story that uses a lot of camera. Showcase your what makes you valuable. What Because when I'm looking at these portfolios, I'm looking at each person and I ask myself, what is this person going to bring to the table? If this person can make anything, if this person can make functional grades, well, guess what? I can make functional grades. Any artist can make a functional grade. I want to hire someone who can bring something extra to the table. Either your physical comedy is just unexpected, and I'm like, I would not have been able to come up with that. That is something uniquely you. Or like your camera movements are so gorgeous and so smooth and so cinematic. I'm like, I would not even have thought of moving the camera that way. That is something uniquely you. Action sequences. Kevin Molina Ortiz. All of his boards are uniquely him. You can argue that those are animation and not boards, but whatever, that's very uniquely him. So when I need something that is that high octane, exciting, I look at Kevin. It's like you want to, and I'm not saying your storyboard portfolio should be like Kevin, but your storyboard portfolio should reflect you as an artist, as a storyteller, and as an individual. What do you like? What do you not like? Do what you don't like. Do what you like. And that's I think when I first started, I did a lot of action. So because behind it is action. So some of my storyboards is just full on action. No stories behind it. Right. And then eventually I started realizing like, well, I want to do more comedy. I want to try more comedy. So I curated more like storyboards that while reading more comedy. But comedy that doesn't rely on dialogue. That's perfect. Physical comedy. Right? Because again, when people look at your storyboard portfolio, you're not there to pitch out to them. So your storyboards have to live outside of them. So when I was still teaching storyboards, I always tell people, make your portfolio a silent portfolio. Create a story that doesn't require a dialogue. Because if it requires a dialogue, you'll end up expositioning instead of showing it. And the whole point of a storyboard, it's a visual medium. Your job is not to write. Your job is to visualize what's been written or visualize an idea, right? So I would focus on that. I would focus on your presentation of that. If I'm to boil it down to 3 things, avoid over-rendering and over-polishing. Because that takes a lot of time. Avoid making it animatic. This might be controversial. And then I would avoid for a storyboard portfolio for a student, I would avoid anything that is overly reliant on fantasy, which in a way it's kind of like what I had been saying earlier. Like, the things I look for, I would avoid over rendering because you're not making an illustration. And the reality is that when we review storyboard portfolios, back then when there were still a lot of jobs, we would be reviewing maybe like 20-30 portfolios in one sitting. And if like we have an hour or less, so if we have 30 portfolios in an hour, that's 2 minutes each, right? And so we don't really have time to like look at a drawing, next drawing, read the dialogue, next drawing. We don't have time for that. When we look to hire, what we do is that portfolio comes up, we go, it's this fast, tap 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 tap.
Whoa.
And if I can't follow what's going on when I do this, you immediately go, nope. Okay. Sometimes like, oh, that's interesting. You stop. Okay, you slow down a little bit. But usually when people are hiring, we know immediately whether or not it's very easy to say no. And it's very easy to say maybe. Sorry, it's very easy to say no, and it's very easy to say yes. So you either go nope, 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 hire.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Really?
Exactly. But the reality is that if there's 100 portfolios, 50 of them would fall in the no. 5 would fall in the yes. And then 45 would fall into this weird purgatory called maybe. And if we already have 5 that's a yes, that fills up those slots.
Fills it up.
Right? So, and this is why I say, like, when you are making, as a student, you're making a storyboard portfolio, do not waste your time overly rendering, making sure, I'm gonna rough it out, and then I'm gonna tie it down, and I'm gonna clean it up, and then I'm going to tone it, and I'm going to add the smoke and the effects and the gradients. We're not asking you, you're not an illustrator, you're not hiring you to illustrate. So rather than doing multiple passes on the story, on a sequence, that may or may, the additional process that you do, all the cleanup, all the polish, all the over-rendering, is not going to convince me to get you a job, to hire you, if the basis is not correct. So rather than say you come up with a story and you're making a portfolio, and the portfolio is going to be 200 panels, 300 panels, that's too long. So that's kind of where I would rather you get it to a point where it's readable. I know what's going on. I can follow what's going on. The staging, I can kind of tell what's going on. And then you move on and make a nice story. Because that's where your skill is going to improve. Going back in and redrawing and cleaning up your drawing, and rendering, and like making sure the construction's there, making sure the next patch of the head, that is not going to get you a job. And that is not going to elevate your skill as a storyboard artist. It's going to elevate your skill as a draftsman. But being a skillful draftsman does not make you a good story artist. Your job is to tell stories. So I would rough it out, get it to a point where it's slightly presentable. Put it on your portfolio, move on, come up with a new story. If you get feedback on those things and then apply that feedback on the next project. Don't apply the feedback on the same projects, because you can noodle it for 3 years and it still won't be perfect. And the reality is that nothing is perfect, right? So again, I would avoid over rendering. I would avoid over polishing. I would rather move on and make new sequences. Tell me a story. Tell stories you're not comfortable with. You do things, oh God, I've never done a car chase. I don't even know how to draw a car. Make that storyboard for avoid over rendering. What was it? Someone told me before, indicate, don't illustrate. That's the most important thing in storyline. You just want to have enough indication that I am holding a cup of water.
That's great.
Instead of rendering, here's a nice glass of water with like, you know, the ice in it, and I get some boba in it, you know, like, no, it's just 3 lines and a line. There, it's a cup of water. Do it as fast as you can. You want to indicate what it is. You don't need to render, here's a Porsche. This is the headlights. This is the side. No, it's a car.
Like, but
Draw a car. Draw a quick car. Indicate, don't illustrate. That's the nice thing. That's for the rendering part of the thing.
dang, that's great, man.
Don't make an animatic. I know these days people want to make an animatic because they can put it on Twitter, they can put it on Instagram for people to watch. But the reality is that when people make animatics and they post it all the time,
So it's like,
these are usually professional storyboard artists who have been working in this industry for a while, and usually they're not the ones editing the animatic. They had a professional editor making the animatic, right? And this goes back to what I always say, like, be aware of your presentation.
I don't know. Sure has.
If you are trying to break into storyboards, you are storyboard artists, you are drawing stories already, and then you're presenting it as an animatic, you know, if your animatic is timed badly, and I guarantee you, you'll time it badly because you don't know how to time an animatic because you're not an editor. If you're an editor, why are you getting a storyboard artist dress? You should be an editor, right? A lot of storyboard artists do not know how to time their images for animatic purpose. And so what I end up seeing is a 10-minute long animatic that I don't have time to watch. That essentially is the equivalent of time first. Time. And at that point, I'm like, I don't have time for this.
Right.
So I would avoid presenting your boards in an animatic format if you don't know how to make an animatic. You can learn, you can hire an editor to edit your animatics, but again, so you can. Are you trying to be an editor? Or are you trying to be a storyboard artist? Because a storyboard artist is judged based on their drawing qualities. How fast can you convey an idea? How loose can your drawings be? Can you tell a story? But when you present it as an animatic, you get timed on. You get judged on the timing. You get judged on the sound effects. You get judged on whether the music is working. And those are not skills that you need to be a storyboard artist. So you get judged on skill sets that will never be the skill sets that you need to do a good job as a storyboard artist. Right. So I would never present your boards as an unless you are just really damn good at it. But if you're really damn good at it, you don't need this advice. You have a job. Right?
I got you.
You know. So I would. To me, the best presentation for a storyboard is to single panel PDFs.
Okay.
That way I can download the PDF. I can flip through it. If I like it, I can quickly send it over to someone. PDF, I can open
You
up.
like that more than the 3-panel page thing?
The 3-panel sometimes, like, it's so hard to go like, and then you flip, you go 1, 2, 3, and then you flip the next one, 1, 2, 3. Like it doesn't create the same flow. Because again, and this is something that's uniquely me. I storyboard for the purpose of these drawings going into an animatic. Okay. There are shows that these drawings don't go into an animatic. They just kind of get pitched and then get okayed and then gets sent to get animated. Most shows, including the ones that I'm on, don't do that because they need to be cut into an animatic to be presented to an executive to be watched. Right. So I storyboards for the purpose, keeping in mind that everything that I draw is going to go into an animatic. So when you are presenting it, you are a newcomer in the industry, some a student trying to connect to the industry, and you're presenting a certain portfolio. To me, the best format is a single panel PDF. So I can flip through it, and I can kind of go, oh, okay, you are overdrawing. So your board's almost like an animation. That's fine. I'll flip through it like this, right? Oh, you are very efficient in your drawing. Okay. I'll flip through it slower. Right? I can control the speed. You don't have to determine that speed for me because you don't even know how to do that. But let me decide that, and that's the easiest thing to do on a single panel PDF.
Because then the editing becomes objective.
And also the one
Casing.
yeah, well, to digress a little bit, one of the things that I always look for, a good storyboard artist, the cuts are seamless. If you're a good storyboard artist, when you cut from one scene to the next,
Yeah.
it's seamless.
Yeah.
It's not jarring, it's not a jump cut.
Yeah.
And you're not gonna be able to see how something cuts
Mhm.
on a 3-panel video format.
I see.
Because you are cutting from this panel 2 to panel 3,
Yeah.
it cuts.
Yeah.
You can't tell how that cut works.
Yeah.
You can only tell how cut works when you're flipping between
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
That's a single panel PDF. Because to me, the biggest issue that I see with student portfolio is the cuts.
Yeah.
You go from a medium shot to a medium shot. It's a jump cut,
Yeah.
right? The angle is the same, the staging is the same, it's a jump cut, right? So those are the things that I would say able to pay attention to. So
I see.
Yeah, avoid animatics.
Yeah.
It usually does not present your skill set. You get judged on things that you're not even trying to get judged for. Yeah, so the last thing I would avoid is the reliance on dialogue. And this goes back to what I was saying earlier about encouraging people to make students to make storyboard portfolios that are silent, right? Because the thing about a dialogue is that when you have a drawing and then there's a bunch of dialogue, I'm not looking at your drawing, I'm looking at the text underneath. I'm reading. And if I have to read the dialogue in order to understand what's going on, then I'm not judging you based on your visual storytelling skills.
True.
I'm judging you based on your writing
Right.
skills.
Yeah.
Are you trying to be a writer or are you trying to be a storyboard artist?
Yeah.
If you're trying to be a storyboard artist, your job is not to write.
Right.
Sure, there are board-driven shows. Sure, you're required to write. That's completely different, right? Most storyboard jobs, you're asked to, hey, we have an idea. Can you storyboard something? Usually in feature it's like that. We have a nugget of an idea. We don't have a script. Can you storyboard this sequence? This needs to happen. This needs to happen. This needs to happen. We may have to add some more dialogue in there and so on. But again, for a storyboard portfolio, if I'm reviewing a bunch of them, I don't have time to read the dialogue.
Yeah.
I need to know whether you are able to tell a story visually
Yep.
in a way that's clear, even if I don't read the text.
Yeah.
So, to me, if your storyboard sequence is over-reliant on the text underneath it for me to understand what's going on,
Yep.
that's an immediate no. Because then I'm like, again, am I hiring a writer? Am I hiring a board artist?
Right.
Right. So,
Yeah.
so I always encourage a silent storyboard
Yeah.
portfolio,
Yeah.
because that way I'm just judging you based on your skill set as a storyboard artist.
Yeah.
Yeah. So avoid over-reliance in that. Avoid. When you have too much dialogue anyway, all you end up with is talking heads like this.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just two people sitting,
Yeah.
and we're just talking.
Yeah.
Right. And dialogue might be funny,
Yeah.
but if you write funny dialogue, you should be a writer,
Yeah.
right? Because
Which may be a fun.
you take 100 board artists, all of them can stage something like this.
Yeah.
Zero entertainment value. You want to be a board artist? How do you take this
Yeah.
and make it entertaining? Again, going back to entertainment value. You
Yeah.
are here to create entertainment. So yeah, so avoid overly rendered stuff.
Yep.
Avoid making an automatic. That's not your job.
Yep.
Avoid over reliance on dialogue, because again, you're not getting hired to write.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Love it. All right.
that's it.
That's great, guys.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thanks, Don.
Yeah,
Appreciate you.
yeah. Have you got all you need?
Last meal on Earth.
Last meal on Earth. Fuck.
You never thought about that?
I never thought about
I think
this.
about it on a weekly basis.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't think about last meal on Earth. I
Yeah.
think about what I would say before I die. Because I want to make sure that the last thing I say before I die is some stupid pun. Some stupid joke.
You can have both.
Some stupid joke that I say it makes people groan, and then before they can even counter it, I just die.
Die.
Yeah. Korean fried chicken.
Whoa, let's go, man.
Korean fried chicken.
Yes.
It's gotta be Korean fried chicken.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
You know what? Any fried chicken. Jollibee is fantastic.
Do Koreans do it the best, though?
I think Korean fried chicken has great crunch mixed with great sauce.
Yes.
But in terms
It's still our next level, though. Too.
But in terms of like just fast food fried chicken,
Oh, yeah.
nothing beats Jollibee.
Really?
Nothing beats Jollibee. KFC, Popeyes, any crispy fried chicken.
Do you have any fried chicken puns to go out on? Or is it dry and sort of,
No, I'm
you'll
too,
figure
chicken,
one
I'm too
out.
chicken for that.
Oh, perfect! Perfect!
I use to shower like 4 times a day.
It's like sweat. Dude, really? You know, in quarantine, I didn't shower for like 20 days. I know.
Do you not sweat?
No, I never sweat. Yeah, I don't. Do you smell?
I don't. I don't have body odor.